Hey Tech Work, it's Natalie from Circuit Recruitment again, and welcome to another installment of Landing a Job 101. Now, in this series, I am sharing one tip per video, taking you slowly through the whole process involved with landing yourself a new role. And in my previous video, I started talking about how do you know when it's actually time for you to move on from a role? Do you actually need to make a move, or can there be some internal changes that can be made to make you happy and to put you on the right track in your current company? So if you want to know a little bit more about that, then you head over to my YouTube channel and you can view it there along with many other episodes in this series. It's very busy in the office today, and I wanted to format this as a little bit more of like a fireside chat. It's just you and me having a little bit of a chat about your career, what's going on, how I might be able to help you. Think of it as like more of a one-on-one coaching session. I've got my little microphone out, so it's going to be a little bit ASMR style because I'm trying to keep my voice down in the office today. So a little bit of a different format. I hope you guys enjoy it and get a lot out of some of the thoughts that I have on this topic. Now, in today's video, I want to do a little bit of a part 2 on this and investigate some of the many reasons that people tell me that they want to move on. And I want to try and give you some insights and understanding into whether these are reasons that are really a sign to move on, or whether it might be worth sticking around to see if you can make things work. Internal mobility is becoming a really big thing in the TA space at the moment. It's something that is very much a trending topic, and most internal talent teams will be looking for any way they possibly can to retain you. And I think it really is important to think about how you can navigate your career within your current company. Because I did mention in the last video that sometimes the grass does seem a little bit greener on the other side when really it's actually not. So without further ado, here are some general reasons that most people are looking to move on, and I'm hoping it will spark some thoughts in your mind about whether it's truly time for you to make a change, or whether you could stick it out and try and generate some change internally. I get a lot of people coming to me saying that in their current role, there is a lot of lack of growth or lack of development. Some people feel really quite stagnated, they feel like their skills are no longer growing, and they might feel like there's limited opportunities within the organisation. This is all very valid to feel. I think the thing to keep in mind when it comes to this will be that if you don't ask, you don't receive. So if you're not having conversations with your manager around what opportunities are actually there within the business, then you might actually be missing out on some really exciting pathways for you within the business. Especially if they are a smaller, more dynamic business, they might actually be able to create a role for you that aligns with what you're looking for. This sort of stuff can be harder to achieve in bigger businesses because they're a little bit more rigid or stringent, but like I said, they might actually have an internal TA team that are focused on internal mobility opportunities for people. So there might actually be something there that you just don't know about. So make sure you ask some questions internally, set up some appointments with your managers, see if there's anything out there that you can actually explore internally before you start looking elsewhere. Now, the second most common reason that I hear on my end is a bit of dissatisfaction or unhappiness, a lack of fulfillment. Your work no longer brings you satisfaction or joy, or you're under constant stress, anxiety, feeling quite unhappy outside of work as well. Now, look, if it gets to this point, there are sometimes situations where you can salvage it. So like I mentioned before, definitely make some appointments with your managers and HR people. But on a whole, if your job is making you extremely stressed, if the team is not respecting you, if you're really struggling to get fulfillment, or you're not aligned with the company's mission, that is definitely a really good reason to be looking out for a new job. Same goes for my third reason why a lot of people want to move jobs, and that is a toxic work environment. If there's a very negative culture, micromanaging happening, a lack of respect, or lots of conflict between you and other team members, or poor management happening there, leadership is unsupportive or unresponsive, it's really difficult to navigate something like that and turn that into a positive. I would argue that most of the time, starting fresh in a new role is the best way to go. Now, I also get a lot of people come to me and say, I'm feeling really undervalued in my current job. There might be a lack of recognition, your contributions aren't being recognized, or inadequate compensation, like you feel like your pay or your benefits don't reflect the market. I would argue the don't ask, don't receive policy actually applies in this kind of scenario. If you don't have those conversations with your managers and tell them that you're not feeling very valued, or that you're struggling in some way, shape or form, then you're not really putting yourself in the best position for improvement, and you're not giving them an opportunity to fight for you. And they might actually really want to fight for you, but they might just not know how you're feeling. When it comes to pay and negotiation around pay, it is a really important topic that I think deserves its own separate video. So I will make note of making sure that I make a video about that in the future and delve into that a little bit more deeply and do that topic the justice that I feel it actually deserves. But once again, if you don't ask for more pay and you don't give the company a chance to fight for you, then you might actually end up in a really annoying and stressful situation where you go to leave and they counter offer, and then you're put in a very difficult position. So make sure you have some conversations before you put yourself on the market. Now, some people have just been around in their roles for a really long time, and they might want to see what else is out there, whether there's some better opportunities or an opportunity to change things up and do something a little bit different. I mentioned at the end of my last video that there's absolutely nothing wrong with being tapped on the shoulder and entertaining a new role by somebody who's tapped you on the shoulder, whether that be through somebody who wants to refer you into another company or a recruiter that's tapped you on the shoulder. I would always remain open-minded. You don't have to be wanting to be super active on the market and really, really keen on moving to a new role to stumble across something incredible and want to entertain that. So never discount a new opportunity that comes up if it's something that tickles your fancy. I do get a lot of people coming to me saying that they have a real lack of work-life balance, and this is a really big one because we're seeing a lot of hybrid policies coming back in, or companies asking people to come back into the office full time. And I have a lot of thoughts and opinions about that I'm not going to get into in this video either. But I think it is important to give your new way of working a red hot go before you start going, I'm open on the market. If it really is affecting your physical and mental health, and there's not going to be any compromise from your team or from the company on their end, then it is definitely worth having a look on the market for something that suits your lifestyle a little bit better. At the end of the day, work is 80% of your life, really. You spend more time with your colleagues doing work than you do sometimes with your actual family. So it's really important to make sure that there's balance where there can be. I think something really topical to talk about at the moment in particular, and over the last 12 months in general, if you're watching this video in 2024, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because there's been lots of layoffs in the market lately. And I have had a lot of people tap me on the shoulder where their friends have just been made redundant, and they haven't been affected by redundancies, but they're really scared about their current position, and they don't feel safe in their current role, and they're not sure what the future holds, and they're not sure whether they're next on the chopping block. Now, I would argue that this is a really good time to flick yourself as open to work. Start having conversations, especially if the company have done a really bad job at making these redundancies, or they've done a really bad job at communicating why the redundancies are being made. If they have not done their job in making you feel safe, you have absolutely every right to be entertaining other opportunities on the market. And in fact, I would really encourage it, because you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you've got your tail between your legs and you've been fiercely loyal to this company that might not be fiercely loyal to you. And the job search can take a couple of months at this stage. It's not easy out there. And start being passively open at the very least if you're finding that there's a bit of instability within the company, because you're actually not doing yourself any favors by sticking things out. The last thing I want to talk about is, on a personal note, if your personal life changes, you are dealing with some really big shifts, or you become injured, and some people find out later in life that they're actually neurodiverse. That changes the whole entire way in which they want to live and work. If your family situation becomes really difficult and challenging, you want to know that you can rely on the people around you to be flexible, and you want to know that you're a part of a environment that will work with you to bring the best out of you, not against you to force the best out of you. I do think the don't ask, don't receive rule really applies to this kind of circumstance. Start off by having conversations with your managers and people in HR around what can work for you and how you can make things work within your role internally and within the company internally. But if you're being met with lots of resistance, I think you have to read the writing on the wall and start thinking about what your other options are, because there are plenty of companies out there that have amazing DE&I initiatives out there and make things very flexible and very easy to bring out the best in their employees. I think it's worth having a look out for companies like that. Landing a new role is never easy, but if you seek help from those around you, remain open to new and emerging pathways and ask the right questions to the relevant people and do lots of self-reflection, you can move through your career with purpose rather than letting it all happen to you without having much say. I'm not sure what I'm going to cover in my next video, but if you have any suggestions, then please feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'm always open to suggestions, and let me know if you have any let me know if you have any thoughts on this topic. It's a very subjective thing. Everything I've said in this video is purely my opinion, not fact, just based on some of the conversations and many interactions that I've had with clients and candidates to date. So I'm really interested to hear about people who have differing opinions or have had different experiences. You can view the rest of my videos on my YouTube channel, I'll link that in the video's description. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.